The green hell likes to have its way with drivers and their cars, no matter how big, or in the case of the Spec Racer Ford, how small the car is. After last week's venture around the 154-turn track through the dense woods, we welcome you to a track that can easily fit inside the Nordschleife, the Donington Park Racing Circuit. Welcome to coverage of Round 3 of the SRF Weekend Warrior Series, where up in the booth you'll find Ryan Walker joining yours truly, Nick Schmeg. Joe Peak is in the director's chair, and he'll be using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. You'll see all of today's action live on the global sim racing channel via the iRacing eSports network. Like I mentioned, if you joined us last week in Germany, this week's track is going to be quite the transition, not just for us, but also for the drivers. And to get a sense of what they're dealing with today, allow me to send you down to the track for the GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Stefan Schlacker in the GSRC SRF, so let's do a lap around Donington. Coming down to Redgate, it looks like a good place to pass, but the fact that it's such a late apex means you could wind up susceptible to an over-under if you're given the inside. Avoid the temptation to fall victim to the SRF's notorious understeer off this first corner. You see, it's flat out all the way down through the Craner curves, so if you lack momentum, expect your opponent to get you back easily. However, the lead up to the old hairpin makes it a bit sketchy to try to enter into it side by side. Though you're braking hard on entry, it's still a pretty swift corner. From there, you head under Starkey's Bridge and climb up towards McLean's. This upcoming turn's entry is rather tricky for multiple reasons. With a little kink before the braking zone, the crest at the apex, and the fact that the apex is so late, drivers will be tempted to get on the power way too early through here. After that, it's a short blast to Coppice. Once again, you've got another blind crest, making it difficult to spot your turn-in and apex. Plus, while the corner does open up, if you get greedy while powering off of it, the understeer of the SRF can cause you to either slide off or be forced to lift. Now we're on Starkey Straight, which is one of the longest acceleration zones on the track. And while it does offer a passing opportunity at the end of it, the tall curbs in this last chicane make it perilous to try to navigate it too wide. You're almost guaranteed to spin out if you climb on top of them. Finally, you can plant your foot down because hopefully, if you've kept it all together, you've now finished a lap around Donington.
And there you have it. You see a much quicker lap this week at Donington on the national layout than you would have last week at the Noordschleife. Ryan, tell our viewers a little bit more about the big transition we have with Donington this week.
Yeah, coming back from the long trek of a track, I like to call it, that is the Noordschleife, to a shorter track that is in England, the Donington Park. So yeah, this track is located in Leicestershire, England, and tonight we'll be using the national layout, which has 10 turns, and the track length is 1.957 miles in length, for 3.149 kilometres if you prefer to use that. And just a bit of history about the track before we go into qualifying. Yeah, it's famous for hosting the British Touring Car Championship and the British GT Championship, and Formula 3 and Formula 4 and a range of other series. So yeah, this track has got a wide range of history in motorsport, and tonight it will be host to the Weekend Warriors League.
It will be indeed, and another group that has been attached with the Weekend Warriors all season long is Sim Stickers, who sponsors today's event. Whether it's button boxes, steering wheels, or keyboards, Sim Stickers has you covered. And now if you use the promo code GSRC10, that's GSRC10, when purchasing, you're going to get 10% off all orders for the whole season. You can find out more at simstickers.co.uk. They've got a home track here at Donington as well. Ryan, we do have many drivers in this field, but only a couple of them can make the points graphics. Tell us a little more about the S1 points.
So yeah, the points at the moment in the Spec 1 standings is currently being led by Maurizio Naselli. Naselli's been having a good start to the season so far, and it'll be interesting to see if he can be the man to challenge David Gaspers and knock him off the top. Daniel Sadro is currently sitting in second, a further 27 points back, and Sadro's sometimes he seems to have a bit of an off day sometimes, so he's still a consistent driver, but he just doesn't seem to have the consistency like Gaspers or Naselli at the moment. But Larry McLeod rounds out the top three, and then Tim Van Dormelen sits in fourth, and rounding out the top five in the standings is Antonio Reyes.
And we do also have the AM category, the Spec 2 racers in this field that are fighting for a championship as well. Let's take a look at those points. Aaron Vogel at the top of that with 125 points, where Tom Gradwell and Kenneth Bartley, they have a ways to go, 26 and 31 points back. Tom Gradwell is in third as well. Pretty impressive. He's got 2 spots up there. And Dominique Bureau, he's going to be back in fourth, just rounding out that sheet. We do have a couple of new viewers of the many fans of the many drivers here, over 50 drivers. So for our new viewers, Ryan, let's run down some of the race details we'll be seeing today.
So details about this series, for anyone that's tuning into the series for the first time or is unsure about how the series works. This is round 3 of 12, and the setups, as always for the series, are open setups, so you can change anything in the setup. But the fuel you can't change, that is limited to 35%. And the race length for these races, as always, is 40 minutes with a mandatory pit stop, I should say. And the points are rationed from 100 down to 25. And you get -3 points for every 10 off tracks. So if you go to 10 or over, that means you'll get -3 points. And then lastly, you'll get 1 fast repair. So if you make a mistake or hit the wall and get badly damaged and make it back to the pits, you will get a free fast repair, and with that you will get a new car.
Definitely a lot to watch out for today. That 1 fast repair, I think that's going to become a big help to a lot of these drivers. Like you said, over 50 drivers at a track that's less than 2 miles long. This is going to be a fun one today. And if you're keeping up with all the fun racing that's going on in the world right now, especially in the virtual world, it seems to be taking off more than ever, you can follow along. The best way to do that is at the iRacing Esports Network. That's where you're watching this right now. And we highly encourage you scroll down just a little bit, hit that big red subscribe button to stay in tune with more great action. Right now on track, we're seeing qualifying. We've got about 8 more minutes of this. Jonathan Madden currently leads. We're watching Maurizio Naselli right now, who's in second by about 5/100ths of a second. Jonathan Madden, though, like Ryan, you pointed out before the show, making his return to the series today.
Yeah, Jonathan's he used to race the Spec Racer Ford quite a lot, and also the Weekend Warriors League. And from the the broadcasts I watched of him, he's really quick. So he could be someone to keep an eye on, and also, excuse me, possibly could be the dark horse as well today. So keep an eye on him, and also keep an eye on the likes of Jerry McAreevy and also Michael Dobek and also Tim Van Dommelen.
Lots of big names that have become notable over the years and over the seasons here in the Weekend Warriors. Everyone in the field, it's such a great community. They have all taken note of each other, who's fast, who's quick, and Donington here, it's a home track for quite a few of these drivers on the session. Like you said, you mentioned Jerry McAreevy. He's up into third right now. He's about 2/10 back from the pole time. Ryan, I'm seeing a lot of these cars trying to draft with each other, but this track has a lot of S's. You think of the old hairpin, you think of Coppice, you think of all of the turns here that might get a little sketchy with this weight-shifty car. The draft is helpful, but how reliable is that going to be today?
With this configuration of Donington Park they're using today, I think the only place that the draft will really matter is either on that back straight heading down to the final chicane, or even on the home straight. But I think today with this track and this amount of cars turning up out in attendance, I should say, I think it's going to be all about survival, and draft won't really come into it.
Definitely going to have to be careful, especially with such a big field. Watching Kenneth Batley turn his lap right now. He's sitting back in 24th right now. He's got an 18.82. That one just a little bit slower. Turn one here going to be so important, especially at the start. Drivers trying to thin out. That straightaway on the backstretch, it leads down into a tight chicane. That's going to be another big danger zone today in the race, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. As I'm just looking at the times in qualifying at the moment, and it looks like Jonathan Madden has popped up to the top of the standings and takes pole position at the moment.
He has a lot of drivers using the toe. That is going to be what helps them, I think, in this qualifying session. Maurizio Naselli trying to do that right now, but there are other times where, since this is such a tiny track, for a road course, and this configuration only has 10 turns, if you have slower guys in front of you, sure, the draft is nice, but if you can't get around them to pass, it's actually going to bog your lap down a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you mentioned, it's good to get a draft off them, but if it's someone that's really, I wouldn't say really slow, but they're just a tiny bit slower than you, that's can hamper your lap as someone spins out in front of Maurizio Naselli. And Maurizio, like I mentioned, in the S1 standings, having a good start to the season so far, and it'll be interesting to see if he can keep up that momentum. But there's plenty of people there around him that'll take the chance to try and pounce and close the gap on him. Like I say, you've got McAreevy, you've got Stephen Elson to second place as well, but I missed that. But you've got the likes of Antonio Reyes as well. So plenty of people that are around that will happily take the chance to pounce if Naselli slips up.
Yeah, Stephen Elson indeed up to the top, or at least second place that is, on the board. That's going to bump Naselli back to row number 2 for now. He's definitely going to want to improve on that. There's Stephen. He's actually, it looks like, at the front of a line right now in terms of a draft.
Yeah, so this as Stephen goes wide, yeah, that could possibly hamper the people behind him as Stephen does the gentleman thing and moves out the way. That's the sort of thing that's we've came to see in this series, that people are more lots of respect and given, as Jonathan Madden again improves his lap time and goes to a 1:17.782.
48 drivers have set a qualifying lap right now. They're all within 5 seconds of each other, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but on a track where they're clicking away lap times at 1:17, 1:20, wherever you may fall in the field, I think lap traffic might play a big factor as well today with pit stops as well. Different people are going to be on different pit strategies.
Absolutely. I think with this layout we're using, it's a short layout. It's not really that long. It's round about 117 a lap, but it's a short configuration, and like you mentioned, traffic during the race could be a factor.
We see Maurizio Nicelli has bumped Steven Elson off of row number 1. Elson had just gotten that back, and Nicelli has just put down a faster lap. He will be back to second. Madden has also improved his pole time. That's up to a 17.781. Continues to get faster. There's Chris Murakami, who's riding back in 8th place right now.
And I'm just looking at the stand, the qualified positions in Spec 2 as well. It looks like the Spec 2 pole position has been held by Tom Gradwell possibly, but I'm happy to be corrected. It's Ruffrin, sorry. So yeah, Erwin having another good round so far. And at the Nordschleife last week, there was several people in the top 10 that had a good race. The likes of Michael Shaw and Jeff Jacobson had a good race as well, and took advantage of people slipping up last week and had a good result.
There's Erwin Rothgrens, your pole sitter so far for Spec 2. He's up in 6th place overall. I think Kevin Bubar is the next S2 driver in the field, who's back in 16th overall. So a big difference there. A nice little cushion for Erwin in this race, if that will hold. Those Spec 2 drivers, they might not be as fast as the S1 drivers, although Erwin definitely proving us wrong there because he's up to 7th overall. But they will put up just as much good battling, if not better racing sometimes, than some of these top class guys.
Yeah, the Spec 2, there's some drivers in the Spec 2 class, they might have low I ratings, but it doesn't really mean that they're slow. They can give a challenge to some of the top guys up at the front in this league. And yeah, there's been several drivers this season and also last season that have took the challenge to these quick guys up at the front in the Spec 1 class. And so, yep, keep an eye out on them, as Jerry McAreevy's sitting in 4th at the moment, and Jerry's been a bit up and down sometimes this season, or towards the end of the last season. He seemed to be quick, but he just didn't seem to have the luck.
Checkered flag waving in qualifying. People coming around for their last laps here, including McAreevy. There he comes. That's who is that behind him? That is the 96 of Jonathan Madden, actually.
Yep, it looks like Madden was trying to get a slipstream off McAreevy to try and improve his time, but he decides to pull up, and it looks like Jonathan's decided to call it quits and just wait until the end of the session.
A couple drivers still coming to the final chicane and onto the main straightaway, trying to improve their times. Lynn back in 34th. Make that 33rd. I think that's going to do it. So let's quickly jump to our starting lineup for this big field in today's race. Jonathan Madden, like we said, he's going to be alongside Maurizio Nicelli on the pole in row number 1. Row number 2 going to be Steven Elson and Jerry McAreevy, where Miroslav Juracek, he's going to be in the top 5. Larry McLeod is going to be alongside of him in 6th. Row number 4, though, going to go to Erwin Rotkins and Emil Orsa back in 8th. 9th and 10th going to be Chris Murakami and Greg Stefani.
Starting in 11th is Michael Dobek. Alongside him in 12th is Antonio Ruiz. 13th is Tim Van Dormelen. And alongside him in 14th is Hugh Haycox. David Garado Sanchez lines up in 15th with Ian Haycox in 16th. 17th is Kevin Baber, I should say. 18th is Kurt Nunes. Alongside him is Tom Gradwell in 19th. And rounding out the top 20 is Lucas Enderman.
Adam Bradshaw and Nico Schuch will follow them in row number 11. Kenneth Batley, Ed Doherty, and James Tabor are going to be back in the top 25. Dominique Bureau and Aaron Vageley are going to be back in 26th, 27th, 28th. Going to be Jeff Jacobson joining Aaron there in row 14. Row 15 is going to be Paul Godden and William Ferry.
Lining up in 31st is Bob Kern. Alongside him in 32nd is Richard Franco. 33rd is Wangxi Lin. 34th is Brian D. Short. 35th is Simon Mayer. 36th is Paolo Brem. 37th is Glenn Pally. Jim McGill lines up in 38th. 39th is Paul Jackson. And right the top 40 is Lauren Hamby.
Jeff Cantor, Paul Barbuza, Burke Treidler, Gary Wolbott, Frank Radosti are going to be at the top 45. 46th and 47th going to go to Ian Wilson in the 258 and Brad Speedle in the 236. Matt Scholzblom starting 48th rather, starting 49th, Tommaso Bianco. Those were the last drivers to set a qualifying time. Samuel Dick and Robert Ely are going to be 50th and 51. What a big field, Ryan, for today's race. It is going to be action all over this 2-mile track.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the size of the grid now, just looking up like from above in the sky, and I have to tell you, even though it's a big turnout of cars and it looks terrifying, I'm looking forward to this and seeing if these guys can get through the first few laps without any issues. But with this layout being so short and the track in a way being so tight, I think it's going to be an interesting way, put it that way. Interesting race, I should say.
And so their short pace lap will begin. It is the 96 of Jonathan Madden on the front row with Maurizio Nicelli once again, following the Porsche pace car. And that pace car is not going to turn right. It's going to go straight into the pits. Everyone else, though, going to turn right and then a quick left for the chicane. And then they will be on their way for this 40-minute event. Jonathan Madden going to get on the loud pedal. And falling right in line, Maurizio Nicelli is going to quickly go over to the right lane. That'll be the inside as they head down into Redcoat. A lot of drafting. They're starting to fan all over from the inside to the outside. Down into the inside goes the 44 of Nicelli. Can he make it stick, or is Madden going to have the lead? It looks like Madden will hold it.
Yeah, it looks like everyone's managed to make it through turn 1 without any issues, and they're coming down to the old hairpin. Technically a corner, you can't really make a move, so it looks like at the moment it'll be everyone...
contact! Around goes Nicelli! He got some help there. We'll take a look at that later, but a huge pile up behind him. The 67 of McAreevy up on his lid, spinning. Cars going all over the grass. It is a mess here at Donington, and this is all happening in the rearview mirrors of Jonathan Madden.
Yeah, just looking at the gap between Madden and the next car. Madden, just looking at the gap now, that is a huge gap, and we're only coming up to the end of lap 1. So everyone's tripping over themselves behind him. This is giving Madden a chance to pull away and stretch the gap.
He can breathe for a moment, but Larry McLeod and Ian Haycox, just like that, after both starting, well, McLeod started 6th, but Ian Haycox, after starting 16th, he's going to be promoted to the top 3. Erwin Rotkrins and Hugh Haycox behind them. What a wild lap 1.
Yeah, everyone's slipping up at the front. Oh, is it in the background? I'm just watching.
More trouble, yeah.
Oh.
Greg Stefani and David Sanchez maybe not being as friendly as possible.
Yeah, that was a bit naughty between Stefani and Sanchez, and as we've got a car off in the grass. But yep, looking at this battle at the moment, it looks like it's Rofkins at the moment. So yeah, people that are starting further back have managed to gain several positions due to the people up at the front chipping up amongst themselves.
Well, it looks like everyone has gotten pretty much single file now, as much as they can be. So let's go back to lap 1 and see, at least try to decipher here what happened.
So yeah, it looks like everyone's got through turn 1 without any issues, and everyone's been sensible. Then it just seems to be coming down to the old hairpin. Everyone It looked like everyone was in line, and then everyone just sort of a concertina effect. Everyone got bunched up or caught out by other cars in front of them, and it looks like, oh, yeah, Macarivi just had nowhere to go.
It all started when Naselli went off the nose of Steven Elson. And Naselli, actually, no one hit him after that. He had slid off to the grass. He locked it down pretty nicely to get out of the way. Elson, however, unfortunately, tried to save the car. He went over into Macarivi, who came back across the track. Macarivi hit the 84 of Miroslav Juracek. That sent him straight up into the air. And like you said, everyone just came in behind him. And man, Macarivi couldn't find the ground.
Yeah, I was about to say it just looked like, in other words, everyone just came in like a wrecking ball.
So now that things have settled down just a little bit, Macarivi actually finds himself back on track in what looks like second place, but it's not. He's a couple laps, or he's going to be a little bit behind. He is behind the leader, Jonathan Madden, as lap traffic now, ahead of Larry McLeod leading a long train of cars. Ian Haycox and Steven Elson is there as well, but he's also a lap down. Back for sixth place, we see here Erwin Rotkrins, the top Spec 2 driver, fending off Antonio Reese and Greg Stefani.
Yeah, and yeah, this battle's been starting to go on or starting to bunch up a little bit as we ride on board with Greg Stefani, just behind the car in front of him. That is Antonio Reyes, and in front of Reyes it's Rofgren. So this battle is starting to bunch up, sorry, and get really close. But it seems to be after that incident on lap 1, everyone's just settled down a little bit.
Yeah, they've had no choice but to settle down, or they're going to find themselves in another mess. Larry McLeod leading this train still, just ahead of him, but right now we're looking at 9th place behind him. That is Tim Van Dormeland, who has gotten around Adam Bradshaw. And on screen, you see cars scattering after some contact. That is back with David Sanchez, but Nico Schuk is initially the one that went around. Schuk was getting overtaken, and he's able to keep going.
Yeah, it looked like the replay's coming up now, but it looks like Nico Schuk got the run, and Sanchez went defensive. But it looks like I think Nico was a bit ahead of him going into the corner. It looks like, I don't know. I think Nico was just in front, and David should have backed out of that. But that's just my take on it.
And I think behind them, just coming through the chicane, Tom Gradwell and Lucas Endeman, the reason you saw them spinning is because they just had nowhere to go. They had to jerk the wheel out of the way. And these cars, you just cannot quickly snap the steering wheel like that, or the weight will shift in the wrong way, and it'll just send it spinning.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like you say, everyone just had nowhere to go, or they just basically ended up braking and spinning in avoidance. But looking at this battle with Larry McLeod, Ian Haycox, Hugh Haycox behind his father now, and Chris Marikami, and also Rofgrins and several other cars behind. So this pack is definitely starting to bunch up, and McLeod decides to go to the inside line and try and defend that position.
Yeah, little mistake coming out of the chicane for McLeod through Redgate. Yeah, like you said, he was trying to be defensive, but it was too late. The draft was too much for Ian Haycox. He's going to get around him. Now can McLeod answer as they come into the old hairpin? That's tough. He thinks better of it. He's going to slide back in line. Hugh Haycox couldn't quite keep going with Ian up to the front, but now he's going to look for a way around McLeod around the outside.
And yep, Ian Haycock's up into second position, and then McLeod now is under attack from Hugh Haycock. So Hugh Haycock, we know he can be a bit aggressive sometimes, but he makes a move up the inside, up into P3.
Saw Steven Elson peel off the track just moments ago. I think he might have taken a tow to get out of this mess. He's actually retired from this race. Further back, you see that black car. That's Erwin Rotkrins trying to defend the draft from Antonio Reese. He'll be able to hang on to that for this lap.
Yep, as they come through the chicane now and back onto the home straight and riding on board with Reyes at the moment. Behind Rotkrins, so it looks like Antonio, he can't really do anything or he can't get by, so it's kind of just having to sit behind. But on the other hand, it's not a bad thing to sit behind someone in front of you, because on the other hand, you can in a way save fuel by lifting and coasting and also staying in that slipstream.
That's a good point to raise. They are in a limited fuel cell. We see some battling behind this. Aaron Vagley right now and Dominic Bureau side by side. This is getting close. Now they're going to separate just a little bit. Behind them, that is Maurizio Naselli, who's made his way up to 17th.
Yep, Naselli trying to make a move and trying to get by Bureau as quickly as possible and make up some ground, but Naselli is under attack from what looks like Ed Doherty.
This is a bunch of cars. Many of them, I think, were involved in that lap 1 accident. They have one fast repair that they were able to take and get themselves back on track. And for a 50-car field, battling for a top 20 position, not all too shabby.
Absolutely, and I think it'll be more difficult to get into the top 20 today just because of the massive turnout of cars, and also because of, like we're seeing on the broadcast at the moment, it's how close the field is. So everyone's stuck in the slipstream of each other, so it's proven difficult to try and make a move.
That cream-colored car, that's Kenneth Batley. He's a lap down, so he's actually not... Paul Godin is not passing him for position back there. And behind them, someone went off. That was Yangshi Lin, who was in the top 20 at the time, actually.
Yeah, I just back up at the leader as well. And Jonathan Madden, amazingly, even though we're still in the early stages of this race, he's built up about an 8-second gap. So Jonathan is in a bit of no man's land at the moment, but this will allow him to control the pace.
Yeah, despite that draft behind him, they have been battling for that second place position, which Ian Haycox continues to hold over Hugh Haycox. Hugh has actually made his way around Larry McLeod. And so now that they get single file, there's about 6 or I call it 7 cars up in that top lane. Let's see what they can do, if they can eat into Madden's lead at all. It's definitely a tall order. We look back here, heading into Redgate. This is a battle for 14th. You just mentioned Ed Doherty. He's stuck in the middle right now. Aaron Vagley, he's down on the inside. Bunching up, that is Maurizio Naselli. He wants back in on the action. After starting up in second, he's going to be inside, almost pushing it 3 wide. That's the 208 of Dominic Bureau. Getting around him there.
Yeah.
And Naselli, a familiar scene. He's going to go around. He's going to keep it pointed the right direction, though. A heck of a save, but it's not a big enough save to not lose as many positions. He's going to be falling back. Brian Short's going to be able to get around him there. Naselli just asking too much at this point in the race, I think, and just lost it there.
Yeah, I think he's trying too hard to get back through the pack as quickly as possible. When he could, like I mentioned a few moments ago, he could sit behind these cars for a couple of laps and try to save some fuel and then try and go for a move if he can get by. But just Maurizio maybe just a little bit rattled at the moment as looking at his battle between Doherty, Vagley and Dominic Bureau, and I thought they were going to go the 3 wide through the chicane there, but luckily all 3 of them managed to get through the chicane without any issues, as someone is off in the grass in the background. That was like yeah, but yeah, it's sort of settled down, but it's still a bit feisty at the moment.
Definitely. When you have a pack this big, you're going to get action somewhere in the pack at any given time, and here we find it in the later parts of the teens. You can see them just snake their way through. These cars just look kind of unstable going through these turns. It's got to be a heck of a ride inside the cockpit through the S's in these cars. Ed Doherty still under fire. But we see there on screen the graphic, the battle for 17th. Just a little bit behind them. Richard Franco has made his way into the picture. He started 32nd and he's up here.
Yeah.
And a big slide.
Oh,
That is
Jacobson.
It is, and Simon Mayer also involved in that. I'm trying to see what happened here. Mayer actually lost at first all by himself. Oh, but ahead of him, actually. Yeah, you're right. Mayer had slid into Jeff Jacobson, who was already off. Now, Jacobson was already a lap down, so he wasn't in contention for position here. Unfortunately, though, Simon Mayer was inside the top 20. That 37 machine is going to get quite a bit of damage from that. You're seeing right on there, just a little tap to the left side.
Yeah, it looks like Mayer just he took too much of the inside curb, and it just unsettled the car. These cars are kind of notorious. If you take too much curb of these cars, it unsettles it, and like you just seen, you're just a passenger most of the time, and you'll either spin round or make a mistake. But Jacobson was a lap down, like you mentioned, so he wasn't really, excuse me, in a battle or any sort of. He was kind of just, I guess, in a way, just trying to keep out of trouble. But back up at the front, Jonathan Madden has increased that gap to Ian Haycox to around about 9.6 seconds. So Jonathan is just leaving these guys in his dust.
Yeah, even without battling here for second place, Madden has continued to pull that gap. That is all giving him just an extra cushion to... Oh, and we have a big spin later onto the backstretch. Who is that sideways? That's the 20 of Dormelin, and Adam Bradshaw is involved in this as well. Let's see what exactly happened here. Actually, I think Bradshaw got through it. Sjöblom. Matt Sjöblom had already spun in front of him. He was a lap down. This was some lap traffic interference up on the curb.
Yeah, it looks like... I was just going to say, it looks like Tim just had nowhere to go and just unfortunately had to just ploughed into the side of him. But Tim's still going, but he's got some slight front end damage. But yeah, in this series you get one fast repair, so that means you'll get a new.
We're having more problems somewhere on the track. You see a car off there, rejoining. We're going to take a look at this again. This is Dominic Bureau. Oh, he was up in 16th. He continued to move forward. It's too bad. Looks like a car that was already spinning ahead of him had caught him out, and then that sent himself spinning.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for Dominic. Like you say, he was slowly moving up through the field and making good progress, but he's fallen back a little bit. So yeah, just again had nowhere. He tried to avoid the car and just got flipped as he went by. But looking at this battle for second place at the moment, it's two Haycoxes on the podium with Ian in front of Hugh. So a bit of a father-son battle going on with this battle, or the cars behind as well, with McLeod, Murakami and Rothkrins and Arturo Reyes as well, and a few other cars involved. So this pack is building up again as someone's off in the grass, and it looks like Jeff Jacobson.
Yep. Jeff Jacobson's car pretty well torn up. He's been involved in a couple accidents now. This one was involved in the tire barrier, and Brad Spindell also involved in that. A lot of cars getting torn up, but a lot of cars getting held up as well. Lap traffic here. That's Tommaso Bianco, and look at what this has done behind them. They have fanned out almost 4 wide for a moment there behind them.
Yeah, that
loud trying to sneak through the middle.
Yeah, that lap car in the exit of the chicane just caused a bit of a bottleneck. So these guys, it's closed these guys right up now, and in front of them, it's allowed a bit of Ian Haycox to just pull away a little bit.
Yeah, and look at Hugh Haycox. He has ended up behind all of these drivers, behind Chris Murakami. He lost out big time on that exchange. One of the drivers was Antonio Reese. He was the one that was getting around him. He's moved up to 5th. I thought he was going to be able to get around Rotkrins as well. How about Rotkrins, the S2 driver, who's moved up into 4th place overall?
Yeah, it's a good race from Erwin at the moment. He's not been doing anything silly. He's just been sensible and just doing his own thing. While these guys have been right behind him. He's not done anything silly, and he's driving a sensible race at the moment.
And there is more lap traffic ahead of him. But I don't know if that's going to become an issue. We see Greg Stefani joining the mix there. He's another S2 driver. He started back in 10th. He had a late ditch effort. I think his last lap of qualifying promoted him to starting in the top 10 overall. So he is pretty much the only competition up here so far for Erwin Rotkrins. 3rd place of S2. You'd have to go back to 13th, Aaron Vagley.
Yeah, Aaron's been having a good start to the season so far. He's actually done pretty well. I think he took the Spec 2 class when it Laguna, I think it was Laguna Seca. So he's been having a good start to the season, and again having a good race in 13th and doing well in the Spec 2 class as well, as several cars are diving into.
Yeah, we are exactly halfway through this race. Nico Schuk there into the pits. A lot of drivers, I'm sure, happy to get some optional repair as they get some fuel in the car as well. I don't know if there's a single car, maybe with the exception of Jonathan Madden here, that doesn't have a little bit of contact.
Yeah, just looking at Madden's car as well. His car is pretty much pristine, so not a dent on that, nothing. So he's just been pulling away again, like from these guys, and just going about his business. But this battle for 2nd place just won't calm down.
Erwin Rotkrins really wants an overall podium. You can see it on the inside of Larry McLeod, and I think McLeod's going to let him. I don't know if he wants to let him, but he's going to have to, because now he's stuck on the outside. Erwin Rotkrins has gone through, and now he's going to lose out to Antonio Reese as well. Up to the old hairpin, not the preferred line for McLeod, but somehow he's going to make it work. Chris Murakami and Hugh Haycox joining this battle as well. They've closed in big time on Reese.
Yeah, I thought they were going to go 2 by 2 through the old hairpin, which I wouldn't advise, but both of them were sensible, and they gave each other plenty of room and decide, or Reyes decided to let Stefani McLeod back through, I should say, as riding on board with Hugh Haycox.
Oh, Antonio Reese! Antonio Reese was all over the back of Larry McLeod, trying to put the pressure on. Instead, he finds himself pointed the wrong direction and spinning himself around in the grass. I'm gonna take a look one more time. He was all under the back of Larry McLeod. I thought he was gonna try to get around him. Instead, he just stayed back there, and I don't know, lost the air off his nose. Lost the handling for sure.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for Antonio. He was having a good race as well, but he's managed to keep going, and he's actually only fallen down to 11th place as he dives into the pits now for his mandatory fuel stop.
Yeah, that's definitely a smart move for Reese to come into the pits right now. Try to salvage that slower lap as much as possible. But that takes one more car out of the picture for that lead train. We have a lot of lap traffic who's come out of the pits. Like Larry McLeod has gone to the pits. He's the highest pitter right now. He's up to 15th. Still on the lead lap. Didn't lose a lap in the pits to Jonathan Madden. Although Madden continues to pick him off one by one. And Madden actually is in the pits right now as we say that.
Yep, so this is actually a good decision by Jonathan. He can dive into the pits when he's got no traffic in front of him or traffic behind him threatening him. So dives into the pits for his mandatory fuel stop, and I think it'll be probably round about the 10-second mark.
Just temporarily, that's going to hand the lead over to Ian Haycox. He's going to stay out. This is a very long stop from Madden. He does have some time to play with, but I don't know how much.
Yeah, I was going. Yeah, I think it might have got a speeding penalty in the pit entry possibly. So that was unfortunate for Jonathan. He was having a good race, but yeah, he's unfortunately through that race. Actually, yeah, it looks like a speeding penalty because of the amount of time he's been there as he leaves the pits now. But that's a bit of a kick in the teeth.
And he's coming out in a bad spot too, right behind 3 cars: Simon Mayer, Jim McGill, and Antonio Reese. He's kind of going to get sandwiched here in between this little battle. That's a battle for, looks like 16th. Well, kind of. Looks like cars just kind of strewn across there. Hugh Haycox is your new highest pitter. After that, Ian, however, has stayed out one more lap.
And yeah. Oh, sorry.
Erwin Rotkrins has also stayed out. He has been promoted to 2nd place overall. It's going to be real interesting to see where Ian Haycox, what is his strategy now, Ryan? Do you think Ian, I don't know, he probably doesn't know that Madden's had a penalty. He's probably just assuming that he's going to come out of the pits still 10 seconds behind him.
Yeah, quite possible. Like, you know, most of these guys will probably be on the a different strategy plan or a strategy plan they've set before the race. But I think the likes of Ian Haycox up at the front and Rofkrans, they'll probably try and stretch the fuel out as long as possible. Try and maybe get close to the 10-minute remaining mark, and then it means they don't have to take as much fuel. But yeah, it was unfortunate for Jonathan. He was having a great race, and it looked like, from what I was watching, he looked like he speeded on the pit lane and just carried too much speed over the pit entry line, or the pit limiter line rather. So yeah, we'll give one of these guys a chance. So is Ian
Haycox is in. And this is going to be interesting. There's a 43-second gap between Ian Haycox and Jonathan Madden. I'm going to see a replay here of Haycox. Oh, sorry. He almost got taken out. That was Rotkrins, who wasn't... No, heads up.
Yeah, that was good heads-up driving by Rofkrans. Managed to just avoid Ian. As it looks like, Ian just made a mistake on the entry of the chicane and just tried to keep it tight on the exit, but unfortunately ran wide. But as Ian comes out the pits now, and he comes right out in front of his son, Hugh.
Yeah, he is back out on track. And yeah, Madden's penalty really did hurt him quite a bit. Madden has jumped into the top 10, though, with other people pitting. He's 41 seconds back from Rotkrins. I think Ian Haycox is the highest pitter now, so he's going to be quite a bit further back from the lead. Just over 10 seconds, it looks like.
As Rofkrans is into the pits. And this is interesting because Rofkrans has got a 25-second gap when he came into the pits, so he could possibly, it'll be close, but he could, if he has a good pit stop and a quick pit stop, he could come out round about the top 3 or the top 4.
Yeah, this should shuffle Ian back to the lead. Ian Haycox right now following Tom Gradwell, who's gone to the pits. Rotkrins was a pretty quick stop. He's actually going to come out right in front of Ian Haycox. Look at this, through Redgate. Ian Haycox can see Rotkrins come out. The 969 is ahead of him.
Yeah, and the gap between Rofkrins and Haycox was about 1.2 seconds. So that was a good pit stop by Erwin. He absolutely nailed that, and he had to if he wanted to stand a chance of coming out round about where he is now. So good pit stop, and he manages to come back out in front of Ian and Hugh Haycox and Larry McLeod behind them as well. So it looks like we're going to have as it stands, a three-way battle for the win in the closing stages.
So Ian Haycox has been ahead of Irwin this entire race until this point. How is Rotkrins going to defend the S2 driver that finds himself in the overall lead just like that? With 12 minutes left, Ian Haycox, though, he has got him in the toe, it looks like. And don't forget Hugh Haycox, who sits right behind him in third.
Absolutely. I think if I was there, when it's kind of, you're in two minds. Do you want to defend with about 11 minutes of the race remaining?
Oh, Ian Haycox has gone to the
Oh,
pit.
Ian,
This is unprecedented. I don't know if he's got 17 incidents yet. That is a stop and go penalty. It's not a stop and go though. He looks like he's going to sit there for quite a while.
Yeah, surely he couldn't have miscalculated fuel. That's a bit of a weird.
Gotta be a penalty. Because I don't. What a crazy turn of events. That's got to surprise Erwin Rotkrins as well, who watched that in his rearview mirror.
Yeah, I'm just having a look now on iRacing to see if how many incidents or off tracks that Ian's had. I can't find anything.
No. Well, we have a different Haycox in second now, and it is Hugh. And he's definitely not out of the picture. But right now, 5th place is heating up, and it is Jonathan Madden, who's gotten around Adam Bradshaw. He's continuing to move forward. A late charge here with about 10 minutes left from the 96.
Yep, this battle for P5 between Madden and Bradshaw, Stefani, and Antonio Ruiz as well. So we've got a battle going on here for P5, and also we've got a battle up at the front going on for the lead and potentially the win. So the closing stages, it's all about to, get your popcorn out because it's about to kick off.
And don't forget, right behind Madden, I think Madden's going to sail away with this 5th place, but Bradshaw now under fire from Greg Stefani.
Absolutely, as Stefani and also behind him Reyes. This battle's been starting to brew up for quite some time, and I think apart from that, there's not really much else going on further back in the field. So it's mainly this battle and the battles up at the front going on at the moment.
Important to note as well that Jonathan Madden right now the fastest on track. He's a little bit faster than Erwin Rotkrins and Hugh Haycox, and he's about 10 seconds back. I don't know if he's going to be in contention too much, but it's important to note that and Erwin Rotkrins actually had a huge off in the chicane. He blew the chicane and went straight through it. Let's take a look at this again. Just misjudged it.
Yeah, just look at the replay now to see what happened. Looks like, he just missed it. I'm not sure what happened there. He might have just carried too much too much corner speed on the entry, and he unfortunately got a slowdown and had to let Hugh through.
Yeah, and now Hugh Haycox is right there in front of him. What a battle that has become. Looks like Haycox actually might be pulling away slightly. I'd imagine there's a slowdown penalty, of course, but...
Absolutely. And also in the background, watch out for third place man Larry McLeod. He's slowly closing on these guys. He's about three seconds behind them. And and he's in a battle with Michael Dobeck as well. Where did Michael Dobeck come from?
He must have had some phenomenal pit strategy to launch himself up here, because he's just gotten around Larry McLeod for a podium position. The 42 machine through the chicane. So you have that battle. Right behind them, you have some lap traffic, and that is being picked off one by one by Jonathan Madden, who's still trying to hunt all of these guys down.
Yeah, and this is a great recovery drive from Madden at the moment, considering his issues at the pit stop. He's done really well to get back up to P5, but he's still under pressure from this pack of cars behind him. And they're also coming up to lap traffic as well. So this lap the car in front of them could play a part as they come down to the old hairpin.
Ahead of them, Hugh Haycox has almost made it a 2-second gap between himself and Erwin Rotkrins. That is going to be a tall order for Rotkrins to get back up there. Right now, he's got to watch out for Michael Dobek, though, who has somehow joined the picture. He's closed the gap. He's got one lap car of Tommaso Bianco. He's going to go off. That'll make that easier for Dobek. And Dobek and Larry McLeod behind him will continue to run together and chase down Rotkrins for second.
Riding on board with Dobek at the moment, and just in front of him, not that far ahead, is Haycox and Rotkrins. So I'll be interested to see if Michael can close his gap, and I think I believe this will be Michael's first podium if he finishes where he is.
Doesn't look like McLeod's got the pace to get side by side with Dobek and make a move at him. But he might get a big draft down here into Redgate. Not a great passing zone, but late in the race, if you're brave enough in any of these turns, you could probably make it work, or at least attempt to pass.
And just looking back up at the front as well, Hugh Haycox has managed to stretch that gap to about 2 seconds now, like 2.1 seconds even. So Hugh is slowly but surely pulling away. So it looks like if Hugh just keeps doing what he's doing and doesn't make any mistakes, he'll hold on for the win, and also this will be his first ever win in the Weekend Warriors League, I believe.
In the last 4 minutes of racing, Jonathan Madden back in 5th. He's closed in about 1.5 seconds on the drivers in front of him. So at that pace, I don't think he's going to be able to catch the leaders. He will, though, at this pace, be able to catch Larry McLeod in 4th and possibly Michael Dobek, depending on how far he can get ahead of him. Don't forget to keep your eye on the 96 of Jonathan Madden. With such a dominating first half of this race, he is sure to pose a threat late in this thing.
Absolutely, as Madden's slowly pulling away from Bradshaw behind him. So Madden, it looks like he's putting down some hot laps at the moment to try and pull away. But in front of him, this battle for third place between Dobek and McLeod is still going on. So it'll be interesting to see if Jonathan can pull that gap back even.
They have caught Erwin Rotkrins. Rotkrins has continued to fall back through the field. He's got to have some kind of damage, maybe suspension, maybe something under the car that is not very visible to us. The chicane that he went straight through, that definitely could have had some effect on the undertray of that car. Might have some significant floor damage or some suspension damage.
Yep, as Michael Dobek is right behind Rotkrins now, and I think it's just a matter of time before Dobek and even McLeod get by him. As like you mentioned, it looks like Rotkrins got damage when he clouted that anti-cut into the final chicane, and it might have affected his straight line speed a little bit. But look at the gap that Hugh Haycox has built up now. It's up to about 2.7 seconds.
Yeah, this is all played out perfectly for Hugh Haycox. He found himself in 3rd and then 2nd and then 1st. Attrition and just some bad luck from other drivers has promoted himself to the lead. He's got about 3.5 minutes to try to hold on to that and get a win here at Donington. Meanwhile, behind him, Rotkrins continues to be under fire from Dobek and McLeod. They were closing in on him, not so much anymore. They've kind of stalled out behind him. But they're certainly scheming up a plan in their head to try to get around him.
Indeed, as it looks like Rotkrins has kind of managed to pick up the pace a little bit, but yeah, it seems to be Dobek is just waiting behind him, and also McLeod's maybe waiting behind Dobek, or both of them, just trying to plan a move and when to make that move.
A little bit defensive there from Rotkrins. Just a little bit, just to show that he's willing to go down there to the inside and defend a move from Dobek. And you can see right behind them, Jonathan Madden. You can see that black and red dot continue to get bigger and bigger. Dobek, he's going to make a move to the inside. He had a big run off of turn 1. Can he get around him? He's going to have a little bit of help behind him from McLeod, but not enough. Still side by side. I think Rotkrins might have the advantage. No. Dobek's going to have the inside. Hits the curb big time. He's going to slide. He can save it. Might be a crossover from Rotkrins, though.
I'm just right up in my iRacing game anyway. I'm just watching on board Hugh Haycock's. I don't know, the gaps came down a little bit, so I don't know if Hugh's slowing or maybe trying to save as much fuel as possible and might be on the edge of running out possibly. But
this has really reeled in Jonathan Madden. He is right there, but can he get him? He's only got a few laps left. Larry McLeod not able to get around Rotkrins yet. Rotkrins not going to go defensive through the chicane this time. Let's see what kind of run the 33 of Larry McLeod gets. A pretty decent one.
Yeah, looks like McLeod's got the run on Rotkrins, and Michael Dobek slowly pulling away as we've got about 1 or 2 laps remaining, and McLeod is right behind the Rotkrins now, and not far behind them as well. Jonathan Madden is closed right up on these guys as well, so phenomenal pace from Madden in the closing stages after his pit stop error. Closed the gap to these guys in front of him back down.
Yeah, this is the last lap. The white flag waving for these drivers. Jonathan Madden is there, but is it too little too late? He's not going to have too many opportunities unless he sends one through the chicane. Through the last few turns, these drivers from 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th using every single part of the track, kicking up dirt behind them. You can see a little bit wide for Dobek. Not wide enough, though. And now, look at this. Larry McLeod going to go defensive. He knows who's behind him. It's Jonathan Madden, who commanded the first part of this race. He's going to have one more attempt. This is all happening just behind Hugh Haycock, who's going to come across the line for the victory at Donington. Behind them, though, Jonathan Madden going to stick his nose to the inside. Going to be a drag race down the straightaway. I think he's not going to have enough. Look behind him just a little bit. Looking back at 14th place coming across the line now. That's Orza, leading Dominic Bureau and Adam Bradshaw. They had their fair share of difficulties today. Looks like that'll come across pretty much single file. Back in 19th, coming out of the final chicane. Brian Short is back there. Richard Franco. Look at this, Ian Haycox, William Ferry, and Bob Kern all battling across the line as well. The 213 of Paul Godden involved in that mix as well. Looks like Haycox, Godden, Ferry, and Kern will be the order across there from 21st to 24th. And that is going to do it here at Donington Park Racing Circuit, the national configuration. Drivers stopping all over the place to catch their breath. Hugh Haycox has won the race. We're going to have a full rundown of results and driver interviews right after this. After 40 wild minutes and over 30 laps of action, Hugh Haycox has come away with the win here, round 3 of this season's SRF Weekend Warriors. He's going to get the win, but Michael Dobek and Erwin Rockrins, the S2 driver who put up a heck of a fight today, led the race as well. He's going to finish third. A good race for him, as well as Larry McLeod and Jonathan Madden, who was able to fight back to 5th place. Behind them, Antonio Reese, Chris Murakami, Greg Stefani, who will finish P2 in S2, and Tim Van Dormelen and Kurt Nunez going to finish the top 10.
Finishing in 11th was Maurizio Naselli. 12th place was Aaron Vegley. Ed Doherty finished in 13th. Elliot Orza finished in 14th. Behind him was Dominic Bureau in 15th. 16th was Adam Bradshaw. Samuel Dick finishing in 17th. 18th was Tom Gradwell. 19th was Brian D. Short. And rounding out the top 20 was Richard Franco.
It looks like, in terms of stats, that Ian Haycox only lost 5 positions, but he lost a victory tonight, and he's going to wind up in 21st in front of Paul Godden, William Ferry, Nico Schuch, and Simon Mayer in your top 25. 26th, 27th, and 28th go to Gary Wolbott, Burke Treidler, and Bob Kern, who will finish the last cars on the lead lap. 29th and 30th, Jerry McReevy and Yuangzi Lin.
Yep, and 31st was Kevin Buber. The 32nd was Frank Rodesty, Noah Hamby. 33rd, Paul Jackson 34th, Jim McDowell 35th, 36th, Powell Brent, Glenn Pally 37th, 38th was Jeff Cantor, 39th was Kenneth Bailey, and finishing in 40th was Brad Spaddle.
And that'll do it for your cars. One lap down, you see the rest of the DNFs slide across the screen, but we've got a couple drivers to talk to. The first of which being our winner tonight, Hugh Haycox. Congratulations. What a wild race.
Yeah, I can't believe it. It's mad.
Yeah, what was your reaction to all that was going on? I mean, in the first half of the race, it looks like, all right, sure, Madden's going to pull away with this. The last 10 minutes are going to be the most boring of the race. But no, it turns out to be the last 10 minutes were the ones that got you the win.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to the leader, but me and Ian were just following each other, and I was fuel saving to jump him in the pits. But apart, I don't know what happened at the front.
And did Ian get a penalty? We believe that that Madden had a penalty. But is that what happened to Ian as well?
Yeah, he just got a speeding in the pits, which was unfortunate.
All right. Yeah, that put him all the way back in 21st. But it looks like you and him were going to have a good showdown there at the end. Instead, you had a good showdown with Erwin Rockrins. I don't know if you expected to be battling with him late in this race, but it looks like you were in second place and he had a big off, and that helped you get around him.
Yeah, he misbraked him. He outbraked himself at the chicane, and then I just saw my opportunity and went for it. So I don't know. It's a shame that we couldn't properly battle, but it was still great fun.
Yeah, great fun to watch. I would imagine great fun to drive. It looked like a blast down there. Do you like this track normally? Obviously, getting the win helps, but what were your thoughts going into racing at a short, 2-mile track here at Donington?
Well, during my one race in official race, it was good, and during practice, I felt really slow and horrible. And I mean, I qualified 13th, so I wasn't feeling great. But I think it all fell into place perfectly, and I just managed to pull out a win.
Yes, you did indeed. Congratulations. Before we let you go, do you have anyone you want to shout out or give a thank you to?
I mean, as usual, my dad, Ian. Apart from that, no one.
He did help you get a win inadvertently.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, congratulations on your victory today. It was, heck of a fun race, like you said. We hope to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you guys.
There's Hugh Haycox, your winner, the driver of the number 34 Spec Racer Ford. And now you have Ryan to talk to you, the driver of the 42, Michael Dobek, who's finished in second.
Yeah, Michael finishing in second place after starting in P11 on the grid and keeping out of trouble. And Michael, I have to say that was a great drive by you to finish in second place on the podium. How was that race for you? And in a way, that race was a bit of a strange one.
Yeah, it certainly was. I wasn't that good at the start. I was jumped by some guys, and coming into Old Hairpin, there was a big mess. Of course, you saw that. And I was one of the drivers who actually used their brakes there. Not everybody did. But after that, I felt quite comfortable. Just logging some laps and looking for the pit stops. And I don't know what happened in the meantime, but after the pit stops, I found myself in P4. I have no idea how that happened. Yeah, and again, I felt quite comfortable and just catched up to Larry and later to Irvin. Yeah, it was a great race actually.
Yeah, it looked like a great battle between you, Erwin, and Larry in the closing stages. What was the plan with the closing stages after you caught up to Erwin? Was it to try and make a move as quickly as possible, or was there a plan in place to try and get by him, or is it just wait and see what happens and see if Erwin makes a mistake?
Well, actually, when I caught up to Larry, I saw that Jonathan Madden was not that far behind us, and I knew he was very quick. So my basic idea was to just sit behind Larry and wait for things to come, to stay away from Jonathan. But then he had an issue in turn 7, if I remember correct. And yeah, I just went by, and then we worked together to catch Irvin. And yeah, when I was up to Irvin, I guess there were just 3 laps to go, so I had to send it quite early, which I did in T1.
Yeah, I was watching that move, and I have to say that was a really good move by you. It looked you you sent it up the inside, but there wasn't any, I guess, aggressiveness. It looked like a clean move, and it looked like Erwin gave you plenty of room and respect as well, which was good to see, and great to see. Great to see you finish on the podium.
Yeah, in fact, I just wanted to threaten him there in some way, which worked out. I have to say, great racing by Larry and Irvin. Really enjoyed it, and congrats to Irvin for the splendid Spec 2 victory. That was great racing. Yeah, really enjoyed that.
Good stuff. Well, finally, before we let you go, Michael, anyone that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, of course, Stevie Ray, who unfortunately wasn't here today again. Busy with his SCCA stuff. I'm not sure. And thanks to you guys for the broadcast, like every time. This time I have even more reason to watch it because as I already said, I have no idea what happened. That I ended up on the pointy end of the grid. So yeah, really enjoyed that. Thanks for that, and thanks to SimStickers, of course, for sponsoring the broadcast.
Good stuff. Well, thanks for joining us in the booth, Michael. And again, congratulations on P2. And we'll look forward to seeing you on track next week.
Yeah, thank you. Looking forward to seeing you on track, especially anytime soon. Bye, guys.
Cheers, Michael. And that was Michael Dobeck. And next up is third place finisher, Ellen Rothgrens with Nicholas.
Hey guys.
Yes. Hello, Erwin. Congratulations on that podium. I know you were going for the overall victory, which would have been impressive enough, but the Spec 2 victory, you've got that to hold your head high on the podium.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was more of a lucky podium, I guess, because all the top runners were in a crash in the first lap. So yeah, but I take it anyway. It's good.
Yeah, well, it may have been a lucky podium, but could have had a lucky win as well. You led a couple laps, but it looks like you just made a little mistake there at the end. That was just enough.
Yeah, indeed, I made a mistake in the chicane because I was watching my fuel. I was actually surprised when I came out of the pits that I was leading, so I was really in doubt if I filled up enough. So I was watching the fuel, and then I made the mistake, and you could pass. That was bad.
Yeah, you had a quick stop, which is, of course, what got you out in front of Hugh and Ian Haycox. But did you actually end up having enough, whether you have had that mistake or not?
Yeah, in the end, I had 1 liter left, so it was enough. So yeah, I could have gone maybe a little better, and that was the reason that Michael passed me also. Yeah, too bad, but next time I fill up a little more.
Well, you had a great race out there. Anyone you want to
Yeah,
give
thank
a thank you or a shout out to before we let you go and send you off to
you.
next week?
Yeah, always like you guys and everybody who showed up. Awesome. So let's see. And where are we next week? Charlotte? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one. If you thought Donington was action packed, how are you feeling about Charlotte?
Yeah, it's not really my favorite, but let's see what we can do.
It will be interesting for sure. We will see you there and
Yeah.
hopefully talk to you there.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.
There's Erwin Rotkrins, who's going to come home with the Spec 2 victory, and he almost got the overall victory. He's going to get the overall podium, though, finishing in 3rd place. That's going to do it. We want to give a special thank you to everyone who came out today for the 3rd round in the SRF Weekend Warrior Series, including all the drivers who put on the show for us today. We also like to thank SimStickers for sponsoring today's event. Don't forget to check them out at simstickers.co.uk. An additional thanks to all the amazing companies that provide the software and hardware that we use to create a GSRC production for you. We also, of course, want to thank the very talented June Lalonde, who provides our music. See the screen for more on how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thank you to the crew today in the booth, Ryan, Joe, and Dougie. And don't forget to check out the GSRC on our social media. You can do that at our website on globalsimracingchannel.com, on Twitter at GSR Channel, on Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, on Instagram at GSRC_Graham, and of course, on our YouTube channel. You can go over and hit the big red subscribe button so you don't miss a second of racing. Make sure to join us and the PRL NASCAR Cup Series tonight at Texas Motor Speedway at 8:50 p.m. Eastern. To see more of today's racing, though, we're going to be back next Sunday for Round 4 at the originally scanned OG Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. Finally, with all that being said, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast today. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.